Yo, good morning. Eric Dubois with EDP-Beats.com, and today is another episode of What's in Stock, and we're going to be talking about one of my favorite stock plugins. And you can't really say that it's a stock plugin, but it's still in the list of audio effects in Ableton, and it's something, if you don't know about it, it's time to learn it, it's time to get to use it. And yeah, so we're going to talk about the audio effect rack. So let's do it. What's in stock? Audio effect rack. So this is how the audio effect rack looks once you drag it in. As you can see, there's nothing on it. It's not gonna do anything yet. And inside of this audio effect rack is where you're gonna be adding your effects. So reverb, compressors, whatever you want, you can add it directly inside of the audio effect rack. So let's go through real quick some of the buttons. So here is your knobs, your macro knobs. So this will allow you to assign any control of the effects that you have inside the rack into a specific MIDI mappable knob right here. So if you have a reverb, you can select, for example, the delay time and the dry wet to one of the knobs here and tweak it directly from there. Same with an auto filter. You know, you can just have fun assigning all of these buttons to any kind of effect that you have here. Now, another cool part is this section right here, which is going to show you all of the different chains and all of the different layers that you have inside of your audio effect rack. So we're gonna go through this a little bit deeper later on, once we're gonna talk about the vocals, and I'm gonna show you exactly what to do, where you can have a dry signal go through and then control only the wet signal and only the affected signal of all of your effects, which can save you in a lot of situations, and you can be super creative with that. So the audio effect rack is really amazing for this. So we're gonna keep it all open, and then I'm gonna show you what we can do with the drums. So here are the drums from one of my sample packs that you can find on my website if you guys want. And what we're gonna do, we're just gonna make an audio effect rack to have the drums compressed, filtered out, and make them sound a little more crunched and make them sound a little bit more coming out of a telephone line, for example, or a small speaker, right? So what we're gonna do is, first of all, I'm gonna add a EQ. So let's find our EQ, drag it into our audio effects rack right here. Boom. So as you see, when we dropped our effect, we've created a chain, which is gonna be this one layer right here of all of our effects. Sounds complicated maybe at first, but if you don't activate these, you're not going to see it, so it's just going to look like just a group of audio effects. But just for the purpose of this tutorial, I want to show you all how everything works so that you can have fun with it and be creative, because I use this every single day on everything, because you can just, you have a problem, you can solve it using the audio effects rack. So we're going to drop in an EQ, we're going to filter out the lows, and we're going to filter out the highs too, to have a nice little telephone line thing going on. I'm going to also add a saturator just to make it a bit more crunchy. I'm going to add this before. I like to put in, we're going to go through these effects deeply later on, but it's just to show you, for example's sake. And also compress the shit out of it. Okay, so here we have our audio effect rack with this kind of telephone line effect, kind of filtered out, kind of drums, over compressed. So it's pretty cool. So now all we do inside of this audio effect rack, we can turn it on and off whenever we need it. So here's with it on. Perfect. And you have this all in this one chain and in one audio effect rack. So then you can have all your other effects around it. And this is just our tiny little telephone line effect. So that's what you're gonna find inside of your audio effect racks folder, and all the different presets that are in there is different types of effect like this that are pretty cool. So as I was saying before, if you want to control anything, for example, we want this low pass filter, we want to be able to control it and open it up and close it up depending on what. So this frequency right here If you right click on it, you can assign it to macro 1. And then it's going to appear right here in your knob section. So when you're moving this, you can see on the EQ, it's moving right there. So that's perfect. You can assign whatever you want. You can assign different knobs, 2 knobs to 1 little button, which is really cool. And you can do a bunch of stuff to make it quicker for you when you use it next time. So that's your main, what you're going to be using audio, the audio effect rack mostly is just creating groups of effects to be able to turn on and off very quickly and have a cool sound right away. Now the second thing, which is really cool, is this little chain section here where I was talking about earlier, where you can control only the affected section of the effects and have a dry signal go through the effect rack as well, so you can really have fun with it and blend the two together, kind of like a send and receive, send and return channel. But I know Ableton doesn't allow you to have a lot of return channels, so I use this a lot for vocals, for drums. Anytime I want to create a new return channel and mix in some effects, I'll go ahead and use this directly on the main channel. So let me show you right here on our vocal track. So this is a vocal take from Tyler, an amazing rapper from Hawaii. We're working on a few tracks together, which is really dope.
Let's take a moment for these sucker MCs who still entered in this contest, because y'all clearly can't read.
Alright, super dry, nothing really going on. What we're going to do now is we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to go into our audio effects, drag in an audio effect rack. And there's many different ways of doing it actually. But now what I want actually is to add in a delay, but I don't want the delay to be going over the vocals at the same time. I want it to be quieter when the rapper is rapping, and then come in and just fill in the blank spots, right? So this is a technique that this is great. I do this all the time. So we're gonna add in a delay, any type of delay, just the basic Ableton delay is fine. Set it to 4, kind of filter out the things, see how it sounds.
Let's take a moment for sucker MCs who still entered in this contest.
So as you can see, it kind of goes crazy.
Let's take a moment for these sucker MCs who still entered in this contest, because y'all clearly can't read.
So everything is kind of going in, it's messy, it's ugly, and this is what we're going to change it. We're going to open the chain selector right here, and we're going to right click and create a new chain. So I've explained this in several different videos. Actually, it's going to create 2 signal paths for the audio to go through. One is going to be our track where the delay is, so we're going to call this delay. And the other path is just going to be a dry signal with nothing on it, right? So, our dry signal. Perfect. Now you can say, you could just play with the dry wet knob and lower the dry wet knob to be able to not hear the delay as much. But that's not the effect that I'm going for here. What I'm going for is I want the delay to be strong and happen when the rapper is not rapping. Pop in those blanks, fill in those blanks, right? So I'm going to turn this dry wet knob all the way up so that it's 100% affected. We only have the delay signal on this channel and only the dry signal on this channel. Now to control the volume, I can control the volume directly from this tab and the panning as well as its own little mixer, right? Now what I want is I'm also going to add a compressor, and I'm going to sidechain that compressor to the vocal track so that whenever the rapper is rapping, it's going to trigger that compressor, it's going to duck the volume of the delay, and then when he stops rapping, the delay is going to come back in and fill in those little blank spots, which is really cool. So get in a compressor. And this, you can only do this inside the audio effect rack. So once this is done and saved, you can use it on any type of vocals. You just drag it in and it's ready to go, right? So our compressor, we're gonna open this up, turn on sidechain, choose our vocal track. Let's just listen to it and see how it goes. Probably drag this all the way down.
Let's take a moment for these sucker MCs who still entered in this contest, because y'all clearly can't read. Let's take a moment for these sucker MCs who still entered in this contest, because y'all clearly can't read. At least yo cheese stacking up to pay my. Let's take a moment for these sucker MCs who still entered in this contest, cause y'all clearly can't read. At least yo cheese stacking.
Perfect. And now we're just playing with the volumes of the delay. We don't want it too loud.
Let's take a moment for these sucker MCs who still entered in this contest, cause y'all clearly can't read. At least yo cheese stacking up to pay my grand prize. I swipe it out your. Let's take a moment for these sucker MCs who still entered in this contest, cause y'all clearly can't read. At least yo cheese stacking up.
You hear how the delay is popping in whenever there's those little blanks and any silence in the vocals? That's what we want. And that's what we can do with the effect rack with these two different signals that we've created. And you can keep adding signals. If you want to do the same thing with the reverb, right click, create a chain, same thing. You're going to add the reverb, dry wet knob all the way 100% wet. And then you can play with the reverb and affect it in that way. So it's really cool, super fun to use. And yeah, I use it all the time. So the audio effect rack, big plus, love it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys are gonna start using the audio effect rack a little bit more creatively now instead of going through the plugins and the presets that they already have. It's really useful for amazing. Whenever I have an issue, it's usually solved directly with the audio effect rack. So whenever I have a problem, I want something to sound this way, okay, I'm gonna need to do an audio effect rack, create a different couple of chains and this and that, and it just all goes together super easily and super nice. So yeah, that was the audio effect rack. See you guys next week for the next plugin that we're gonna go through the list, and peace out. Much love from Hawaii.